Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Power Fridays Live. I am your host, Janelle Pulley Berzotra, and we are super excited to have you join us here for Power Fridays Live. Here, we're streaming live on Facebook and the Power Fridays Live Facebook group, and also we're on YouTube. So we're super excited, and you will be able to find Power Fridays Live with Spotify and the Apple Tunes with the Apple Podcast. So please do look for and search Power Fridays Live with Janelle and Dave, and you'll be able to find the Power Fridays Live broadcast. So we do thank you so much for joining us this evening. And let me see, Dave's. We're having some challenges here getting into the right studio here. So just 1 second. And he's having a little trouble with his camera, but that's okay. Today is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And this is Friday the 13th, 2023. This is a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day. And we are so happy and excited that to share this moment with you. And thank you so much for joining us. If you have anything that you want to share, please put your information in the chat. And if you have any feedback or questions, we'll be looking out for those. I'm Janelle Pulley. I'm author of Financial Bliss Academy. I'm the owner of Financial Bliss Academy, where we offer financial literacy education. And I'm the author of Money Just Flew Out the Window: How to Create a Relationship with Wealth Living from Paycheck to Paycheck. And this is Financial Wellness Month, the month of January, Financial Wellness Month. And we're so excited to share financial wellness tips. I'm sharing various information as it relates to God and money, and I discovered a wonderful book that I will share with you later on in the broadcast. And I am so excited to share with you various like money affirmations. We're going to have some great guests. Next week, we have a young lady who's a financial coach who has paid off her home in a matter of like 3 years and gotten her, and she's out of debt now, and she's written a wonderful book, and we are going to share about her next week, and she'll be able to share and tell her story. And then at the end of the month, another awesome author out of New York, and I am super excited about this young lady. She's super amazing, and she's written a book recently as well. So we're bringing you authors, and we're bringing you various guests, and we're so excited to have you join us this evening. So let me get Dave here. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I'm actually having a day, but it's still a blessing.
Yes, it is. Any day above ground is a blessing indeed. And, happy Friday the 13th. And
Yes, I just found out it was going to be Friday the 13th yesterday actually. So here we are, and the way the day's been going certainly suits the superstition.
well, whenever you're with God, all things are possible. So we know whatever it is that came your way, He's preventing something from happening that would be to your detriment. So we just want to, let the moment happen and just move past that moment, because that whatever's happened is definitely in the past. And I had a friend who was traveling yesterday in a bad storm. It stormed here in Georgia, and she got a flat tire, and she posted her tire on the posting on Facebook. This tire, it was like shredded. Lo and behold, God had her tire go flat. She got roadside assistance, got to the nearest place to change her tire out. There was a tornado in her path. If she had a kept going, she would have probably
Whoa,
driven into it. So this is the power of God and how God works. And I was just like, thank you, God, and just blessing her and keeping her. Thank you for that flat tire. So we just go praise Him anyhow. So whatever's going on, and you think it may be going wrong in your life, we just gonna praise Him anyhow. So we
absolutely. That's amazing. I actually have my own story on that kind of thing where I'll keep it brief, but one time we were getting ready to travel and move from Montana to South Dakota actually, And right before, something happened with my air brakes on my vehicle, and I'm trying to figure out why I heard a leaky sound. Well, it took about an hour. Well, when we got to South Dakota, because we eventually got it working and we started heading there, we had found out that about an hour before we got there, there were RVs being turned over and flipped because of this nasty storm. So because of our delay, we did not hit that nasty storm ourselves and face it. So absolutely, just like the tire scenario, God makes a way every time. So if you think, right, for 1 second that something ain't going the way that you want it to, it automatically means something's wrong. Think again. God may be protecting you from something else. And once you find out what that is, and you sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, you end up with gratitude. So maybe we call it Gratitude Friday then, Janelle.
Yes, definitely. And the storms of life, you prevented that storm from happening in that way, in the wrong kind of way. But it's just the storms of life. You may think that you're in a storm, just like literally, like not approach, not in that tornado area. So just thank God for having you in the storm and keeping you safe inside those stormy weather conditions. So I am super excited to share, and I'm so glad that you shared that story because it just shows the power of nature, the power of God, and how He works in those mysterious ways. You can't you can't figure it out. It's like, why is this happening? Yes, it is because He's saving you from something because you are here for a purpose. You're here to fulfill on His plan, and you haven't fulfilled it yet. So your story's not over.
Absolutely not. I'm with you. So,
So
what
we're gonna
about you, Janelle? How are things going in your world? Tell us more about what's happening in Janelle's world.
Well, what's going on in my world is there's an opportunity for speaking engagements and for people
Ooh,
to get speaking engagements. So I'm supporting and helping a lot of people look for that opportunity. And with January being Financial Wellness Month, I am super excited. I'm working with a client and we are looking at the debt management plan. We're looking at ways to, get out of debt in different ways and working on like the debt snowball. And last week I introduced the 100 envelopes. I don't know if I've ever shared with you 100 envelopes. My cousin, she did this to buy a car. She saved in 100 envelopes. She wrote out a 1 through 100 on 100 envelopes. Each week, or however often she had additional cash, she would stuff the envelope. Well, she'd draw the envelope, and whenever she pulled the envelope, that's how much money she needed to put place in the inside the envelope.
wow.
Over $5,000 she saved to buy a good used car, right? And
No.
ironically, she bought it from this guy that I've known for like 20 something years. And I was like, you're a car dealer? You sell cars? And he was there on Facebook saying, I had this person come in with all of these envelopes and he was ripping them open one by one, cash car deal, that kind of thing. And lo and behold, I put two and two together with my cousin because she just had this testimony that, hey guys, I've just saved $5,000. I got it in all these envelopes, and I'm going to buy a car. So two people that I didn't know, knew each other that I was related to, and then the other person I was friends with, the car salesman. They got together, and he ripped over those envelopes, and he had never seen anything like saving money in that way. And
That
I
is cool.
am inviting anyone who's listening to the sound of my voice to look at that opportunity to like discipline yourself in saving because that's number one. Whenever 2023 hit, I looked and said, okay, what are people making resolutions about? And number one was saving money.
Wow, that's a really cool, like the fact that it's fun, right? I think that's what we have a lot of ticks and tips and tricks, but all of them are based on more on routine and discipline, and that's great. This is too, but it adds a fun factor to it
Yeah.
because it throws the routine off because you're not sure what are you going to draw that day, like what is today's or this week's contribution. So I think that kind of makes it fun. I love that you shared that. I might have to apply that to my own life, Janelle.
Yes, because you look at 52 weeks in a year and 100 envelopes, it may take you 2 years to save the 5,000, or
Yeah.
pulling two envelopes a week, it would take you one.
Yeah. a little bit at a time goes a long way, right? And I think that's, to me, that's a lesson to draw from that too, right? Is it's not just with money, like that can be applied to just about anything. If you're building a business, a little bit of effort each day or even a little bit of effort each week goes a long way. All you got to do is invest something. Any movement is better than no movement.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. And with this new book that I have, God wants you to be rich is the what part of the title, but it's God and money.
God and
And
money. That's it.
God and money by and how to manifest your divine riches by Bishop Dr. Reverend Dr. Jack Bomar. I've been through part of this book, and from where I got to, like the various affirmations, but then the scriptures and then the conversation about you that you have in the relationship to money. So I was like really excited about this book because it dispelled a lot of the myths that we have about money, right? That money's
Mhm,
evil and all the things that people say about money. And with my book, Money Just Flew Out the Window, how to create a relationship with wealth, living from paycheck to paycheck. It broke down a lot of those money, what we call idioms. It's like,
mhm,
what was the thing that my mother would say about money is like, well, money don't grow on trees. Whenever you'd ask for something, money don't go on trees, or I'm not made of money.
mhm.
And of course, one day I got smart after I learned that money paper was made out of pulp. Pulp came from a tree, and then I was sitting in class, and it's like, well, what do you mean money doesn't grow on trees? But they're making money out of paper, and the tree is the pulp, and I just tried to put it together, and then it's just like shut me down, and yeah, I was that child who analyzed the
I'm I'm
tree,
laughing because
money, paper, pulp. Yeah.
as you get older, you hear a lot of things over and over and over, but it is always a pleasure when you hear something for the very first time. I've
Yeah.
never heard anyone break it down and say, "Well, actually, if you think about it, it does grow in trees, on trees."
Yeah. So yeah. It's like,
That's
well,
awesome.
yeah, isn't money paper? And isn't paper come from the pulp of a tree? Yeah, I did. That was me. I was that child. I was that person. You never heard that in all your life, except
I never
just
heard
this
that.
moment.
I never heard that. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be that adult. One day, if somebody says that to me, I'm gonna use that one. I love that.
Yeah, but you do know
Actually,
paper's made out of trees, right? So
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. So and that's really great, that we can just like look at all of that, right? And like number two, financial what resolution
Mhm,
is like paying off credit cards.
mhm.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of some people are in debt. Hey, I want to pay off the credit cards. This is a year of me getting out of debt. And
Mhm.
next week, I am so excited. We're gonna have Renee coming back,
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
and that's gonna be
She has a
super
story
awesome.
all about getting out of debt.
She does. And I'm super excited that we get to share that again here in Financial Wellness Month in the month of January. As people are making those choices and making those decisions and be like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. I want to resolve in my life that I can have a better life.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can, right? It's always there for you. One of the things that I was going to bring up today too, Janelle, it's something that I've personally been dealing with on my entrepreneurial journey, is this guilt of feeling like I'm not making it far enough, or I'm not doing enough, or things in life come up that hold you back from some of the disciplines that you try to establish. And again, those things are great, but sometimes things happen. And I happen to be talking to another coach friend of mine today. You may know him by the name of Tom Graham, Janelle. But Tom suggested to me to have grace, with myself. And I think I needed to hear that today, of all days, on Friday the 13th. But I think sometimes we tend to beat ourselves up on this journey, or you're talking about having a better life, and we all want that. But like we said earlier, it's all about taking little steps at a time. And some weeks you may feel like you're making really huge, huge leaps. And other weeks you may feel like you're taking tiny, teeny, tiny steps. But the key is that you're still moving forward. Have grace on yourself as you move forward, as you work towards that better life, remember to have grace. And really, that just means being okay with yourself, still loving yourself, even though you're failing. Because a lot of us, we get trapped in a performance mindset where we think it's all about performing, but it's not, right? We want to create things in the world that add value to other people so that we can better other people's lives. And that's why we're here. So we do this in love, and we do it for love. So why not give ourselves grace in the process?
Exactly. And when you look at the Mega Millions amount of $1.3 billion, that
That's
is
huge.
huge, right? And
Mhm,
the second or third largest jackpot in like maybe the lottery history,
mhm,
you I equate that as like look at all these other billionaires that exist or that were created themselves to be a billionaire and they never like set out to
mhm,
do that, and
mhm,
it happened. So oftentimes, like you said, you don't want to beat yourself up because what you set out to do, and if you fall short, there's something better and more for you on the other side. But you be like, hey, I fell short in this area. Well, look at the story about Michael Jordan. He was cut from a team and all he failed, he practiced. So when I look at all these stories about the different people who became billionaires, the Tyler Perrys of the world, even the you throw some names out of some billionaires don't know personally, but of the Jeff Bezos and everything. They, like the guy with Amazon, he had a vision of, oh, I want to sell books online, and now you can buy like a house on Amazon, and but then that vision or that thought didn't start with, hey, let's sell this on Amazon. Let Amazon be like the top logistics company in the world. That wasn't how it started, but we see the benefit of starting as an entrepreneur in business. We see the benefit of working hard, as an athlete. A lot of millionaires are made, but how many hits did they take? They don't ever tell you. They have stats, right? Like appearing for various football players, basketball players, soccer players, etc. But they have statistics from year after year after year. If we really had a book of everybody's statistic when they got reached this level, it's just like it would be so amazing because you see that growth. You see that there was improvement. You see that, hey, they didn't start this way, but
yeah,
now it's do you see the result? And oftentimes we look at the result of someone being rich and it's like,
mhm,
well, how did they get there? Well, they say they followed a system. And it's like, oh, wow, great. Well, what's the system? But there's something that there's some actions that you need to take. And then, of course, there's massive actions that you need to take with following, that system. But some people are actually like creating, even Oprah Winfrey, for instance. I look at back over her career and, how her story goes. And how she had other people that she would come and interview and how their careers and they're speaking, and they even went on to have their own television shows, the various guests that she were involved with and had on her show. And even one young lady, she was a thousandaire, possibly up to a million. She was a stay-at-home mom that would just faithfully watch Oprah and buy all of Oprah's things, and she made a thing of it, and then it became something, an idea for, let me buy all of Oprah's things that she recommends, and that became something for her, and that she blogged about it. So then she became known. So, and I think that, throughout all of the journeys that we all take in life, that there's the people who we're gonna pass in our journey, and there's things that we set out to do, but like for instance, as you drive across country, you may have to get on a detour route sometimes.
mhm.
How often does
Absolutely.
that happen, Dave?
It happens quite often. It's happening right now as we speak. Actually, things definitely did not go in plan. We were en route from South Carolina to North Carolina today, and picked up a new trailer. And the trailer's having some issues. I'm sitting in a parking lot actually right now, not in my destination, which that comes after this. So it's just you don't know, what you're going to run into. At this point, it's just proper lighting on the trailer that I'm missing that I can't figure out. So, but I also want to go back to what you're saying because you're right. You never really know what things could evolve into. We have the detour, but we also have the obstacles. We have the hurdles that we need to jump along the way. And I love how you brought up, that Michael Jordan. How many thousands of shots? Maybe for him, millions. He might be in the millions. How many shots did he take to get that good? And when he was that good, do you actually believe he stopped or did he keep taking those shots? And was it always in the game or was he out there when everybody else went home and went to sleep still shooting hoops over and over, over and over? You can't drop three pointers like that constantly unless you're just shooting shots over and over. And you know what I say? I ask my kids often, Janelle, I say, how do
Yeah.
we get better? Because, kids, they'll find themselves easily frustrated, especially in the day and age now where everything is so fast. We want something, we turn
Mhm.
on the computer, we look up something, we can get our information in 30 seconds. But everything don't work in the 30-second timeline. Some things, instead of being microwaved, have to be crock potted, right? We got to get out our crock pots again because we think everything is microwave.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. So I ask my kids sometimes, how do we get better, son? How do we get better, daughter? And they know now that the answer is by doing it over and over and over and over again. So sometimes you hit the obstacle and you quit just before you're about to get somewhere. Now you'll never know that because you stopped. Maybe some of you have seen the meme where there's somebody digging in the mine, right? And they stop right before they strike gold, but they'll never actually know because they never swung at the dirt one last time to see it shining through. And that's where we get stuck. I do this all the time, Janelle. I allow discouragement and frustration and my inability to proceed forward to stop me dead in my tracks. And then we get inside our head and we're spinning all that negative energy inside our heads and it keeps us from moving forward. I want to encourage somebody today, right, to really rethink that. Don't allow the spinning and this is an interesting thing too. I'll add this in, Janelle. I was talking to my daughter today about fear, right? And I said, what is fear? It's false evidence appearing real. Now, the
Mhm.
thing is that the greats out there, the people who have really accomplished big things, they didn't get great because they don't have fear, right? On the contrary, they have fear, but fear, because it's false evidence appearing real, can be ignored. We don't need to respond to fear. We can step past fear. It's one of the great differences between humanity and animals, right? They're very instinctual, but humans, we have a soul, we have a mind that supersedes the physical brain in our skull. So that means when we feel something, see something, hear something, we can respond to it in a way that's contrary to our primal instincts. So when I want to
Yes.
fight or flight, I can run right at it, straight fly against the wind, against the resistance. The plane takes off against the wind and it gives elevation to the wings and lifts it off. And then you can turn around and the wind can carry you. But you got to first start off with the resistance and the obstacles, Janelle.
Yes, and that brings me to think about a firefighter. They run into the house fire to save lives oftentimes,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
they're running into the fire. Now, how about that
absolutely.
for like truly saving lives? And
Yep.
let's talk. So Jesus
Because
knew on his path. Yeah,
the purpose is greater than the potential danger, right?
yeah,
That's what we got to remember. The purpose is greater than the potential dangers or the things that we fear.
exactly. I totally agree with that because the purpose that you'll see as a result is
Mhm.
what you're after, what you're, some people chase it, some people welcome it, some people wait for it to happen. But oftentimes, I must say there's got to be something that you do to help provoke it in your life, to help make it happen. And it's not just gonna, happen by itself. It's not just gonna appear like the genie in the bottle and blink in
Mhm.
their eyes and poof, it's there. It doesn't happen that way. Oftentimes, I wish it would, but it doesn't happen that
I'm with
way.
you there. But it's
And
about
yeah,
knowing your why, right? Like we got to
yeah.
know what our why is, right? Do you know your why? Do you know your mission statement? What it is that you're on this planet for, right? Those are important questions. I don't know that enough of us explore that.
Well, purpose coach Dave put me on the seat. Put me on the hot seat today. Her purpose coach Dave. What is how do you define, how do you figure it out, and what age should you figure it out? I had someone, message me, and it's like, well, and if you want to be interviewed, we do accept interviews, and I must announce today, we will accept an interview from a young entrepreneur. We should do a young entrepreneur segment.
I
And
love it.
the young entrepreneurs, yes, we will interview the young entrepreneur. That child has written a book, that child that has a lemonade stand or a candle business or whatever your business is. Yes, you're welcome. Go to www.powerfridayslive.com, put your information in, and we'll definitely contact you with the date. I would love to have a young entrepreneur segment. When does it
That
start?
sounds awesome.
When does your purpose start? Some people know as young as 8 years old what they want to do with
Mhm.
their life, what they're here on earth for, and what the purpose that they want to fulfill, and often is rooted in helping someone.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
that's
and
what I love.
no, and that's true, because I think a lot of times purpose is birthed from pain, and I don't think that there's an age limit on this, right? Like it can start at any time, and the problem with applying ages to this kind of thing is like we can often use that as a reason not to proceed in even
Mhm.
discovering what purpose is. Or you hear it all the time, I'm too old for that, I can't do that, or I'm too young for that. Even speaking of young entrepreneurs, there's a lot of there, I can't do that. Like I don't have the skills to do that, I don't have the resources to do that. But have you reached out and asked somebody? I mean, there's people out there willing to help. Maybe they're not in your current sphere of influence, right? And that's where you need to reach out. So whether you feel you're too old, too young, that's irrelevant. But going back to the original point, that purpose is often birthed from pain. A lot of times it's as simple as figuring out what is it for you that has hurt you or created turmoil in your life, or even frankly trauma that you never want others to experience again. And here's the reason why you're probably uniquely qualified for that, because you know what it's like to go through it, right? It's
Mhm.
not that you're just facing it, you've been through it. And if you can walk through it, you can go back through and walk somebody else through it. And that gives you, sir or ma'am, a unique opportunity in this situation to help others walk into their purpose as well. But if you want to know what your purpose is, start there. Where are the areas of your life that you've been hurt? I know that it's easy to look when we talk about passion, right? We think about the things that get us excited. And it's awesome to have to start with a passion, right? To have those things that you really enjoy doing. But again, back to the original point, how many shots did Jordan have to take to get that good, right? It takes many, many times of practice. And for any new thing, that's pretty much going to be a principle that we have to follow. But if you want to start quickly, look in the areas of your life where you've already been through and become what we would call an overcomer. In what area of your life are you an overcomer? And start helping people walk out that same journey, because somewhere, I'm telling you, I promise you, someone somewhere has been through that same journey that you're on, but they're not where you're at. Maybe they're still struggling, or maybe they're just beginning that journey. Look around you and pay attention. Like we have to pursue, right? A lot
Mhm.
of times we're waiting for people and things to come to us, but
Mhm.
we fail to go out and pursue what is already there waiting for us, right? It's
Yes.
already out there, but we don't take the time to go and look for it. Because we're too busy hiding in fear. There's that fear word again, because we're not sure what will happen if I go out there. What if they don't like what I'm saying? What if they don't believe in what I'm saying? What if they think I'm weird for suggesting it? Or what if it's awkward? Okay, fine. Maybe it's awkward, but remember, there's a reason you're doing this. And it's not about you. It's not about you. At the same time, it's all about you, because who you're going to become in the process is also important. So it's
Yes.
interesting that they're both true at the same time. But we hear it all the time, trust the process, and it sounds so cliche, but it's also true, right? We do
Mhm.
have to trust the process. We have to get out of our comfort zone, right? A lot of times the greatest things happen when we're in our strength zone, but outside our comfort zone. So,
Yes, and to touch on when you mentioned pursuit, I listened to this speaker this past Saturday, Richard Harden, I believe is his name. If
oh,
I'm
I'm very familiar with him. I've seen him
oh
before. I've seen him speak.
yes, he spoke about fear, but he
Mhm,
shared this story about pursuit, being
mhm,
stopped, and
mhm.
the cops going around him. He and his wife were in a car, and they were stopped at this on this road, and the police officers were in pursuit of a bad guy because
Yeah,
their intention was to catch what they were pursuing, right?
that's it.
And
Yeah.
I just never really thought it's like they're chasing after, pursuing someone. And that's how we need to be about our passion, about our goals that we have in life, about what resolutions that if you created resolutions,
Mhm,
that's how
mhm.
you need to be about it. It's like be
That's
in
right.
pursuit thereof,
Yeah,
what desires are in your heart,
yeah.
and that, and, delight yourself, in the God first so that he may grant you the desires of your heart. So
Mhm.
there's action that you have to take to delight yourself to obtain what you wish to accomplish, like be in pursuit thereof.
Yeah. I wanna talk about that for a second. I'm glad you brought up the desires of your heart because I feel like God transformed my thinking about that several months back. I used to
Mhm.
think that desires of your heart, man, I just want a bunch of stuff and I'm going to go to God, I'm going to ask him for it and he's going to give it to me, right? Because he's a good God. And I actually believe he'll do that because he is a good God and he's a good dad and he loves us enough to do it. But here's what I also know that when, to Janelle's point, when we lean into God, right? When we actually lean in, we're actually spending time with him. And my word of the year this year is listen. And wow, like what a change when you just get quiet and you begin to listen in your spirit to what he's saying, the transformative power of that. But going back to the desires of your heart, right? What happens when you listen and you spend so much time with somebody that you fall in such love with them that suddenly the desires of their heart also become the desires of your heart? This is what I think God does, right? The
Mm,
more we lean into him, he begins to change us so much that our desires become his desires. And suddenly now we're making that same transformative change that he always desired for us, and we get to experience joy. And you're thinking, I never saw this coming. I never thought it would work out this way, but that's just it. Right? When we allow ourselves to spend time with the creator of everything, the one who gave you the dream, suddenly the dream gets expanded. You see things in a whole new light because your view has been zoomed out like an eagle. You're soaring at 30,000, or not really 30,000 feet, but you get the idea. They soar
yes.
way above and they have pinpoint laser focus, even down at what's moving. I think it's something like 2 miles away from way up in the air, the eagle can see. But simultaneously, they see the whole picture of the landscape because they're flying way overhead and they can see it happening. So expand the view, right? In order to expand the view, it takes time with somebody who has an expanded view. And in this case, that would be our Father God, right? He sees it. And so you want to renew your desires. You want to figure out what that purpose is for your life. Lean into the one who can give it to you and watch your eyes open in a magnificent way. I can only, my daughter, sometimes I say these things and she looks at me kind of funny, like, you sound a little crazy, Dad. And I said, but until it, and, and I'll say something funny. I say, when the spirit gets you, you'll understand. She said, you're making it worse. But the truth is you probably know what I'm talking about. You can't understand what that's like until you go through it. It is powerful. So, just from my own experience, kicking off 2023, spending time listening to God is really expanding my point of view. It's bringing peace to my life, a renewed vision, a renewed joy, and even just, like I was telling you about Tom earlier, just having more grace with myself, allowing myself to be in my mess, which I'm often in, and still be okay, still love myself enough to move forward and continue to love and bless others in the process. And because you're able to do that for yourself, you're able to do that for others as well. It's sometimes I think, we have a hard time with others in the areas that we're struggling ourselves. So that's why
Mhm.
it's so important to take a look deep within our souls, figure out what it is that is going on inside our hearts and minds, work on loving ourselves through that, and then suddenly it becomes a whole lot easier to do that with others in your pursuits, right? Because a lot of those things that prevent us from the pursuit are those things that are holding us back within ourselves. So anything, I
Yes.
don't know if there's anything you'd add to that. I rambled a lot, you know.
No, it's not rambling. It actually makes perfect sense. And I just wanted to share a testimony of someone else. And given that the person does have something to give to another. A young lady, we grew up together. She posted, on the Facebook page, and she shared that she works in the airline industry or at an airport. I'm not sure specifically if it's an airline or at the airport, but she finds people who are stranded. I mean, she doesn't find people who are stranded, but she's God puts people who are stranded in her life to where she's able to bless them, and she's like their angel. She has those conversations with the young people or with whomever it is that's stranded by a person who they claim to love or who claim to love them, or however the conversation goes. But they find themselves stranded, and she finds herself that God placed the stranded person in her pathway to bless them. Whether or not it be like a meal, a conversation, and bless them with, "Hey, you don't deserve this, and
Mhm.
yet you deserve what you desire. You deserve better." And she's able to share that her testimony, and God has given her the ability to financially assist in what ways that she could, and offer advice and guidance. And I'm just like, I share with her, I was like, "You're an angel. You never know where your angels are going to be." And
Yeah.
I was like, and when I go to the post office, I it's just like the people who are working there are working in purpose to just glorify God. And
Mhm.
I'm like, you're working every day, even at work, and blessing other people. That's a glorification for God. You're
Yes.
glorifying God, and you're living within the purpose and being that kind person, being that person to help bring a smile on someone's face that whenever they're in that moment of feeling down. So that's what came up for me when you were sharing about being in your purpose, and being restored, and looking at the different opportunities that you have to live out your why. Why did God put you in the pathway of this other person, and that so that you can receive your blessing that he so desires for you to have. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're watching and you're listening to this, you are worth it, right? I love that she says that. But something else came to mind as I was listening to you talk, because I think a lot of people struggle doing the thing that you're talking about, in this story, Janelle, is and what that the word that comes to mind is present,
Mm,
and being present specifically. I think what enables your friend to be able to do that, Janelle, is effectively being present in the
mm,
moment with the individual people that she's working with and that she's pouring her love into. And I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with, because you know even now, right, as we're talking, I'm fighting the distracting thoughts of the wiring issue outside, or where I have to go next, or what happened earlier today, or what I need to do tomorrow, what's going to happen when I arrive at all that stuff just starts coming in. But the moment I allow that to flood my mind and overtake me, it takes away from me being present with you in this moment, and it takes
mhm,
away from the purpose for why I'm doing it. So practicing that on a regular basis, to try and be present in the moment so that we're able to focus solely on the person. Now, I heard it said this way before. When you're with somebody, right,
mhm.
try to act like they're the most important person in the world in that moment that you're with them, right?
Yes.
And what do, right? We pick up these things here. These I know I got my background on, but we pick up these phones, and a lot of times you'll sit in a crowded area, right? There's a not everybody here listening is going to know what the MARTA is, but the MARTA is like the subway system, the L train, different words people call it here in Atlanta. But when you're in Atlanta and you go to this MARTA station, you'll often see crowds of people 15, 20, early in the morning, 6 in the morning. Nobody says hello.
Mhm.
Nobody says a word. They're doing this, right? Because they're not present. They're not even present with themselves, let alone anybody else. They're not even
Yes.
sure what's happening with their own self because they're so drawn. And I don't want to pick on phones, right? Because I think technology is also, internet technology enables us to do what we're doing right now, Janelle. So I'm
Yes.
not picking on technology. I know it comes out of the way. It's just one way for us to be distracted from being present. Like I gave you the example of what's going on up here, right? And
Right.
that's something, right? All of these things, though, we have the ability to make choices to put those things under control so that we're able to do that, right? And that just came in so strongly as you were talking, Janelle. So I think it's important to be present.
Exactly. I totally agree with you because I would often take the train and read a book while I'm on the train, but I would always have to sit in like the first or second car so I could feel safe.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, when I
Yeah.
was at the back of the train, I wasn't safe. I
Mhm.
didn't feel safe.
Uh-huh.
And each time that I would get on a train, I would always sit in the first or second car every time because I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to know if anything happened, if anything was going on around me, that I was aware and that I was not far from the person who was driving the train to come to assist me if that so
Mhm.
needed to happen. And I'll
Yeah.
never forget, my experiences of being on a train or even on a bus for that matter, that you always have to be careful around your surroundings, knowing what's in your surroundings, because oftentimes, that if you look away for 1 second, even when you're driving, and of course they say, texting and driving is illegal, and laws have been passed, but just that split second, it can really, really change your life when you're not focused, when you're not
Yeah.
focusing on what your surroundings are, when you're not present, and when you're out of focus. And this is a year, that you want to be in focus now more than ever. You want to be in pursuit of your desires of your heart, the pursuit of your dreams, pursuit of your goals. And each week, we're going to have an amazing entrepreneur come on and share their story and inspire you. And for the month of February, my cousin, he makes T-shirts, and he sent a gorgeous brick to my mom in honor of my dad's passing. It was so beautiful. My brother sent me a message, and he is able to make these things that bring inspiration to you. So if you have a loved one, and he can just put the design on whatever you want. And so he's going to be donating either to our guests a t-shirt every week or doing a giveaway. So we're going to expand Power Fridays Live this year, Dave, in ways that we didn't even know. It's like people want to give us stuff to give away. So
I
as an
love it.
entrepreneur, and just having that giving heart and having that giving spirit, it really, really makes a difference. So I know we're coming up here, and as always, it didn't matter that being an entrepreneur, being a coach, and knowing that this is Financial Wellness Month, knowing that your purpose and you're a purpose coach, sharing your different methodologies, sharing where you are and how you're able to be in support of anyone. Please do reach out, learn more about how to be on the show. If you want us to help you get in touch with the previous guests on the show, send us a message at powerfridayslive.com. We'll be happy to connect you to who you heard. And if you want to have a conversation with that person, we'll definitely help make that happen for you. So click on the link and definitely, definitely do that. And we will definitely put you in touch with whomever you've heard a previous broadcast about and you want to get in touch with that person. So just let us know, send us a message. And also, if you're listening and you would like to be a guest on the Power Fridays Live, fill out the information on the website and we'll be happy to phone you and see what works out with your schedule. And the rest of the month, we are celebrating Financial Wellness Month in the month of January. We're so excited, to have you join us this evening, or if you're watching the replay, the rebroadcast, please do hashtag replay, and so that we will know that you tuned in.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful for you, Janelle. And I'm grateful for those of you who are listening to this that we get to have the opportunity to play a transformative role in the lives of others. Right? What a blessing that is to be an entrepreneur, to be a person of influence, and just to be able to pour love and pour inspiration into other people. Like there, I can't really think of a whole lot that's better other than just being in my father's arms, right? That's about the only thing better than that. But it's a
That's it.
blessing, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful to be part of Power Fridays Live, and I'm looking forward to the conversations in the remainder of 2023. I mean, we got a powerful January coming up as it is, right? And it sounds like February is going to be setting up for the same, and
Yes.
more to come on that. But if you're interested in being a guest, like Janelle says, go to powerfridayslive.com. Sign up. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to interview you. And even if you just want to listen in, continue to join us, every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to always bring the power with us. That's what we do.
Yes, because you are a powerful person, Dave.
And so are you.
We're gonna step into your power more and more. That like it's electric. Even though we're at a virtual, it's still electric, my friend.
It is.
So thank you so much, and thank you, Chris. Thank Christina and the family for allowing me to take you away for Friday night. So on to family night and fun night. It sounds like you have your hands full tonight, so a lot of fun ahead of you with the family. So as we say, see you next week. And as I always say, be doing have the greatness that you desire because the greatness is in you. Anything for you, Dave.
Nope. I'm just going to second that, Janelle.
Well, great. We look forward for you checking in with us next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of Power Fridays Live with Janelle and Dave. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great weekend and God bless. Bye bye.
God bless. Have a great one.